Oh boy. So I guess if you watch the opening to the impeachment hearings, there was a couple good moments, but for the most part, within what was it, 6 hours of uh, asking questions to these two people. Oh my god, it was a long day, guys. I was on a 14-hour shift. I came home, got 3 hours of sleep, and then started watching it. About 4 hours in, I had the most splitting headache. Uh, it was hard getting through those first 45 minutes. I'll let you know right away. How the if if you read articles the day after that yesterday, you would think that there was like everything is just going off. Like it's 10 articles. The bombshell report. The new bombshell. This. Oh, no, stay away. No CNN. I'm not going to sign up for anything. Thank you. Uh, bombshell. This. Bombshell. That. No, it was boring. Uh, and the biggest things that came out of it was making the Democrats look bad. I'll talk a little bit more about that, but let me read this opinion article by CNN to start. This is by Nicole Hemmer. Why Fox News wants you to think the impeachment hearings are boring. On Wednesday night, Sean Hannity was positively giddy. He opened his primetime show on Fox News with a declaration that had been a great day for the United States, for the country, the president, a lousy day for the corrupt, do nothing, 3 year radical, extreme socialist Democrats, and their top allies, known as the media mob. Why was Sean Hannity and his allies celebrating? Because they claimed the public hearings on impeachment were so boring. That charge rippled through the right wing circles after hearings before the Intelligence Committee ended on Wednesday afternoon. Breitbart weighed in early, declaring the first hour a failure, finding little excitement in the opening testimony, which I don't agree with Breitbart on much, but they're 100% right. That first hour was just. You want to hear the same things repeated over again, boys? Let me tell you how to do it. Even Republican Representative Mark Meadows, elected by the people of North Carolina to protect and defend the Constitution, yawned away his duties, declaring it was hard for me to stay awake during the inquiry into presidential misconduct. As a surprising reaction to the opening day of public impeachment hearings, which featured two Ukrainian experts testifying they were caught between U.S. official policy toward Ukraine and President Donald Trump's desire to force the country's leader into open corruption investigation into former vice president. Yeah. Anyway, if you didn't watch it, boy, was it boring. This lady's gonna make she goes and makes a big deal like everything was groundbreaking, just like CNN and all the other ones are saying. But if you've looked at the follow-up articles, a lot of them are saying that they're already running into trouble because if you watch the first, you didn't even have to watch the whole thing. If you watch the first hour and a half, you could see the difference between where the Republicans were going and where the Democrats were going. If you watch the first 45 minutes, it was entirely speculation, and they would go on to say that hearsay can be a good argument. Hearsay in many trials isn't even allowed because of how damaging it can be and how impossible to defend it is. When you say, hey, I heard someone say this, I heard someone overheard them talking on the phone, say something to someone else, you can't defend against that. The only way that you can defend it 90% of the time is to attack the person's credibility. And if they're even seemingly credible, there's nothing you can do about it. There are cases where it is applicable, but there needs to be evidence to back it up, which there is no hard evidence here. They would also go on to ask the ambassador to speculate, to actually, they said the word speculate what Ukrainians were thinking and why they were acting the way they were, why the president was acting the way they were. And then when you went to the Republicans who asked a question about the Ukrainians, Schiff stopped the whole proceedings and told the Republicans they were not allowed to ask the ask the ambassador about things he may not know about, and ask him and say you can't ask him to speculate. When the Democrats literally spent 45 minutes doing exactly that. The Republicans, you could tell, they looked so confused, and Schiff just got red in the face because he knew he had been caught with a whole bunch of bullshit. I'm sorry, I shouldn't say the B word. Bull crap. He got stuck with a bunch of bull crap. Yeah, it was pretty miserable to watch. It boils down to right now. Do you believe the hearsay, or do you not? When I got into arguments online with other people, obviously all Democrats, they were saying that the transcripts, they aren't even the real transcripts. They were made up. Well, then what are we going to believe? So you're telling me now I have to believe that these people who weren't even on the call, they have what actually was said, and I have to trust them now? Either you believe the president and the president of Ukraine and his subordinates that nothing happened, or you believe these other people who weren't even on the call, who were entirely speculating based on things that happened previously, even though the money was released to the Ukrainians. In the end, nothing happened. I don't understand how this can be made in such a big deal, because one, even if the president wanted to pressure the Ukrainians, they released the money to them without the Ukrainians doing anything. I think that gets mixed up in this whole thing, and that's why the Republicans were pressing on that, and they also ended up pressing on a lot of getting the Bidens involved, because they're trying to turn it away from a bunch of hearsay, because you can't defend that, and turning it into a fight over the Bidens and the corruption in Ukraine and bringing that to light. Because I think they want to turn either this impeachment into that so they can make them look bad, or they want to discredit it, because that's all you really can do. You can't defend against hearsay. You can't defend against, oh, I heard this guy say this. And that was their new bombshell that came out, was that two people overheard. At first it was one, and then some guy comes out 2 days later and was like, oh yeah, I remember that happened. About that. Some guy, a staffer, told someone else that he heard Trump on the phone, potentially talking to the Russians or the Ukrainians or somebody about the corruption and the investigations, even though he could only hear one side of it, and he's just assuming it was Trump because he didn't actually see it, he heard it. Whew, there's a bunch of leaps in logic here. And that was their new star bombshell witness. The two current witnesses weren't even on the call. They've never met with Trump in their life to talk about any of this stuff. Like, look, the Democrats are reaching, and they dug themselves in a bad hole right off the bat. Schiff looked like an idiot. He looked like somebody who was running actual kangaroo court from day one. It was really hard to watch. He's trying to put himself in the position of, I don't even know what, like he's trying to take over the government himself. It seems an awful lot like this coup Schiff is trying to put himself ahead of whatever this coup they think is going on. And I don't think anything is going to be done until they can have proof. You can have all the hearsay. You can say hearsay is good, which they literally said, as I said earlier, that they said hearsay is a good argument. You can say that all you want, but until there's actual proof that it happened, until you can get me a document or an actual recording like Nixon, where it says it's Trump saying, I bribed them, or I'm giving them this so they'll do this, you have no proof. And to be honest, it was part of Trump's job because of all the corruption that had been going on. Before Trump even got involved, the Bidens had to basically bribe the Ukrainians to fire their prosecutor because of the corruption. And a lot of the right are arguing that why would Trump not hold these funds to get insurances from the government in Ukraine when you just fired their prosecutor over corruption and you just fired all these I forget who it was. There was somebody else involved. They all these Burisma people who were involved. It was so much corruption that why would you not hold up these funds and get assurances from the Ukrainians? I don't get it where their logic is. Why I understand that Congress is appropriating these funds, but it's really dumb to think that you should just dump these funds into the Ukrainian hands when you have no assurances that it's going to the right places. Um, they're they're arguing that the Trump used the holding funds to go after Biden, but the fact is that Biden is part of the corruption, which is why the Republicans are going after him in the first place, because he is part of the problem. I don't get it. The entire argument from the Democrats is very weak from day one, and they are trying to turn it into Russiagate 2.0. I don't know. I guess they're running out of ideas because they've seen how weak it is. You're getting articles already out that they've basically given up on the whole Ukrainian thing because they've seen how weak it is. This is coming from places like CNN, left-leaning places that are just like, you've got to do better. I know you've got these shills out there, these liberal shills that no matter what happens, they think the orange man is bad. But until you get hard evidence, none of this matters. Until you get the whistleblower, or Trump, or Biden under oath testifying, and you can catch them in a lie with actual proof, none of this matters. I'm sorry, it can be your opinion can be. Trump is a complete traitor, which I've read people say that too. Like, people call me crazy for wanting hard evidence, but there's insane people out there calling him a traitor with no evidence. I don't get it, man. People are off the cliff here. Maybe I'm I sometimes I make these videos and I read Democrat postings and liberals posting, and I feel like I'm taking crazy pills because, like, how else could people not see the logic and what's going on here? Anyway, I'm gonna post these videos or these links below. This is another one by Nikki Haley, and just more proof of the corruption going on behind the scenes, which they've also brought up. The Republicans have brought up, just showing that everything is leading up to this is all just a big sham. It's all for show, because until they get proof, all the proof that keeps coming out is that you've been trying to impeach Trump and you're just trying to find a reason for it. Which, by the way, Nikki Haley, if she ran for president, would be. I would love for her to run. She's one of my top picks for the next coming election. She's one of the few people in politics these days where I'm like, I could actually support this person, I think. But that's neither here nor there. She said Kelly and Tillerson confided in me when they resisted the president. They weren't being insubordinate. They were trying to save the country, the former South Carolina governor wrote, noting that Kelly and Tillerson often couched their resistance in patriotic terms. It was their decisions, not the president's, that were in the best interests of America, they said. The president didn't know what he was doing, Haley wrote in the book, referring to how Trump's former top officials saw their responsibilities inside the White House. And this just shows this is exactly what's going on in the Ukraine. It's a bunch of people who think they know better than the president, but it's not their job to set the policies. It's his job to set the policies. He was voted on by the people to set the ship or the course of the American foreign policy. That is the president's job. And I don't understand why these people think they can take it upon themselves. It's these people who have too much. I don't even know. They've got to be narcissists. You're talking about Trump, who is the ultimate narcissist, getting fought back by narcissists at lower levels. It's kind of ironic, I guess. The thing that helped Trump the most was that he wasn't a politician coming in, so he didn't have a lot of the background that people didn't like. But when he came in, he also ran into trouble because he didn't have the background and he didn't know all these people. So when he came in, he said, "All right, guys, my cabinet, these former Republicans, a lot of them were old rhinos, people who had experience. They were like, tell me who's the best, and I'll hire them for whatever the jobs are." So a lot of these people ended up being people who rolled over from the Obama administration, people who had been there forever, people who didn't necessarily support the president because he didn't know who he was hiring, because he had to trust other people that they were right. Trump, it's not like he was a senator for 15, 20 years, making friends as he went along, making allies. He stepped right into this office and didn't have a support system in the political realm. That has been Trump's biggest downfall. That is why this stuff is happening. The whole impeachment, everything. Why he keeps getting people coming out and defecting, saying he's a bad man or saying that they think better than the president. It's people who think really highly of themselves, who aren't necessarily Trump's supporters from the start, because he didn't have allies. They were allied to somebody else, and when they left, they turned on him. That is essentially Trump's problem in a nutshell. Tell me what you guys think about that. I will make updates on the impeachment inquiry, public stuff as it goes on. Apparently, we're supposed to be getting actual first-hand callers, or people who listen to the call. We'll see what happens there. Maybe we can get some new evidence, because until that happens, this is just a waste of time. There's no way, zero way, if he is impeached, that the Senate ever passes this with what is going on now. You will probably get multiple Democrats voting against it. There's already a few that say they will. Anyway, it's good to see you guys again. Please like, share, subscribe. Let me know what you think. All right.